Welcome to Angles of Polygons. First thing we need to talk about is what is a polygon. So it's a shape that has flat sides, and it's got to have 3 or more sides and a closed shape. So here is an example of a polygon. What we're going to talk about mostly today is the measure of angles in a polygon. So for interior angles, we have this formula of n minus 2 times 180. So the n stands for how many sides we have, and our final answer tells us basically what all of these angles would add up to equal. So it doesn't tell me the measure of one, it just tells me of all of them together. So let's go ahead and try an example of this. So first it says find the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a convex nonagon. So first thing you have to know that a nonagon is 9 sides. Then we're going to plug it into the formula to give us 9 minus 2 times 180. If you think about your order of operations, you have to do parentheses first. So 9 minus 2 would give us 7. Multiply that to 180, which gives us 1,260 degrees. So that means all the angles inside of a nonagon add up to equal 1,260 degrees. Let's try our next example. So here we have a parallelogram which has 4 sides, and then we have some expressions for all the angles. So first thing we have to figure out is how many degrees the angles are. So since it's a quadrilateral, we have 4 sides minus 2 times 180. So that would give us 2 times 180, which gives us 360. So I know all these angles add up to be 360, so we're going to write an equation that tells me that. So we'll start with our first angle here of 11x plus 4, then plus the next angle is 5x, plus 11x plus 4, plus 5x, and that's going to equal this total of 360. Now if you remember, when we solve an equation, you got to combine the like terms first. So 11x plus 5x plus 11x plus 5x, so it'd be 10 plus 22 would be 32x. Combine the two 4's plus 8 equals 360. So from there, if we're solving for x, we have to subtract the 8 from both sides. So we get 32x equals 352. And then we have to divide both of these by 32. And we get x equals 11. Now, it does say find the measure of each interior angle, so it didn't just say find x. So I have to take the 11, plug it up in the original expressions. So we start with this one here. 5 times 11 would give us 55. So these two angles here would give us 55. Then I put 11 in up here. 11 times 11 is 121 plus 4. So this angle would be 125, and this one would be 125 as well. Let's go on to our next example. This one I want you to see if you can find the measures of the interior angles in a convex octagon, and again using the formula n minus 2 times 180. Okay, next thing we need to talk about is if we know what all the angles add up to equal, can we find the measure of 1? So in this case, we have a mall food court that is a pentagon. And so we know a pentagon is 5 sides, and we want the measure of one of the interior angles. So since we have a pentagon is 5 sides, we do 5 minus 2 times 180. 5 minus 2 would be 3 times 180. And I get 540. Well, what's important here is it says it's a regular pentagon, which tells me that all the sides and all the angles are the same measure. So since I know all 5 angles add up to be 540, I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 5. And that tells me each of these angles are 108 degrees. Okay, from here we're going to start talking about what we call exterior angles. Exterior angles are, as you see, you take one side and you extend it out, and the angle that is formed is called an exterior angle. So we have all these on the outside of the polygon, Nice thing about this is they always add up to be 360 degrees. One thing I also want you to notice, when I compare an interior angle with an exterior, they add to equal 180. So if you could please add to your notes that interior plus exterior equals 180, that's going to make some of our problems a little bit easier. So let's talk about these exterior angles. Here we have expressions for all the exterior angles in this shape. The easiest thing to do instead of writing a big long equation is just go ahead and combine the like terms and write them down. So I'm going to go ahead and start by combining the x's. So 5x and 5x is 10x, plus 4 is 14x, plus 5 is 19x, plus 4 is 23x, plus 6 is 29x, plus 2 is 31x. So I'm going to go ahead and write down 31x. And then I'm going to go ahead and combine all the numbers. So the positive 5, the negative 6, the negative 5, the positive 3, the negative 12, and the positive 3. And see what I get. On these, just be very careful of the signs, that if it has a minus in front of it, that means it's negative. So when I add all those together, I get a minus 12. And being that these are exterior angles, I know it's always going to be 360, so that's never going to change. Then we can draw the wall and solve. So I have to add a 12 to both sides, which gives me 31x equals 372. Then divide by 31. So x equals 12. And then if I go back, I notice it did just want the value of x. And so I don't have to plug it in, and that's my answer. Let's try a different problem about exterior angles. So we want to find the measure of each exterior angle of a regular decagon. So like the problems we started with, we do need to know each of our different types of polygons. A decagon has 10 sides. So if I know we're exterior angles, I always have to deal with the 360. And being that it's regular, I know all 10 sides and 10 angles are the same measure. So I can just go ahead and take this 360 divided by 10, and I get 36, and that tells me the measure of each of the exterior angles. The last example we have here, we want to find the measure of an interior angle, or actually the measure of an interior angle of a regular polygon is 150. And again, important to know that this only that we have a regular polygon. Find the number of sides in the polygon. Well, being that it's interior, we would normally deal with the formula n minus 2 times 180, but I find it easier to use the interior plus exterior equals 180, because then I can find my exterior angle, and that I don't always have to use 360. I don't have to use any other number or any formula. So I just take 180 minus 150, and that gives me a measure of 30, so that means my exterior angle, they're each 30 degrees. Well, if I know they all have to add up to be 360, and each and every one of them are 30, I can take 360 divided by 30, and that tells me how many angles that I have. So that tells me I have 12 sides, or 12 angles. And that's our final answer.